Good evening, New York City. Let's make some noise. Let's see those signs nice and high. On behalf of the New York Immigration Coalition, Empower of Change, and Strong Economies for All, thank you so much for standing with New York City tonight and every New Yorker that believes that we should be able to enjoy equality and equity no matter where you come from or how much money you have. Right, New York? I'd like to introduce my co-MC chanter before the heavyweight MCs hit the stage, because we know Linda Sarsour is in the building. Give it up for Linda! We're gonna get you guys started. Since this is an intersectional rally in March, we gotta make sure we practice these chants, right? All right.
Hey, good night. My name is Charles. I'm the organizing director at the Strong Economy for All Coalition. I'm so happy to be here with you guys, and I want to go over the chants, because I know we've all been at a march or a rally, we've gotten caught off guard, and we're offbeat for the chant, and I don't want that to happen to you tonight, all right? So I'm going to give you two chants that we've been using to fight this terrible tax bill, right? That's supposed to destroy people's health care and destroy our country, right? The first, because this tax bill is the fourth attempt by the GOP to take away people's health care, right? And I was in DC on Wednesday, and I got arrested with 100 other people, and right? And the biggest chant is kill the bill, don't kill us, right? So it goes, kill the bill, don't kill us. Kill the bill, don't kill us. Kill the bill, don't kill us. All right, so y'all got that one, right? And then the second chant that we've been using is a little more complicated, but it goes, tax the rich, trickle down is just a myth, tax the rich, trickle down is just a myth, tax the rich, trickle down is just a myth. All right, and then Carlene got some more chants for y'all, all right.
Okay, so we know in the immigrant community, we have lots of different communities within the immigrant community that are under attack, right, everybody? I mean, you've been watching the news, right? Folks have came out to rallies for NYC before, right? Okay, no hate, no fear. Immigrants are welcome here, no hate, no fear. Muslims are welcome here, no hate, no fear. Refugees are welcome here. You see what I did right there? You see that? Okay, let's do it together, everybody. And remember, the first time is immigrants, the second time is Muslims, the third time is refugees, right? Okay, no hate, no fear. Immigrants are welcome here, no hate, no fear. Muslims are welcome here, no hate, no fear. Refugees are welcome here, no hate, no fear. Immigrants are welcome here, no hate, no fear. Muslims are welcome here, no hate, no fear. Refugees are welcome here. Okay, everybody, so when we do that chant, we're gonna do it twice, okay? Anytime we start doing it on the procession to the march, we'll do it twice. Another one, I wanna make sure I highlight to you guys. We know what's happening right now with the DREAM Act is urgent, right? I can't hear you, everybody, and I don't think Congress heard you either. Is what happening right now with the DREAM Act urgent, New York City? Yeah. Okay, so this one as well, we're gonna change it out between two groups of directly impacted individuals that are being targeted, those that are dreamers and those that benefit from temporary protected status. Temporary protected status is another program that's under attack. They recently rescinded the program that impacts 50,000 Haitian nationals that have been here for decades. So we need to make sure we show up for them. So when dreamers are under attack, what do we do? When TPS is under attack, what do we do? When immigrants are under attack, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? Exactly. Then the next one, because you know, the immigrant community, we've been experiencing some real hardships this last year. We're gonna make sure that we bring everyone into our spaces tonight, right, everybody? Okay. So let's go through those chants one more time. Charles is gonna come up, make sure everybody knows that chant, that tax chant nice and loud. We'll go over one last immigration chant, and then we'll open up the floor for our program and our speakers. Make some noise, everybody. Thank you so much for being on time and standing with our communities.
Yeah. All right. Tax the rich. That was a test. That was a test. Don't do that on the march. I need you sharp on the march. Tax the rich. Trickle down is just a myth. Tax the rich. Trickle down is just a myth. Tax the rich. Trickle down is just a myth. All right, that was beautiful. And last one, the other one. Kill the bill. Don't kill us. Kill the bill. Don't kill us. Kill the bill. Don't kill us. All right.
This one is, what do we want? Dream Act. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Dream Act. When do we want it? Now. If we don't get it, listen everybody. Charles just explained that folks got arrested for the tax bill yesterday. Dozens and dozens of folks in DC got arrested trying to ensure that folks are talking about a clean Dream Act. We have to be prepared to shut it down non-violently if that means that we need to protect 50,000 dreamers in New York. Right, everybody? Are you ready to shut it down if dreamers don't get justice? Okay, so let's hear it. When I say shut it down, I need to hear shut it down. Right, New York? What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? If we don't get it, 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 thank you, everybody. Give yourselves a round of applause. I have the great pleasure of introducing my Vice President at the New York Immigration Coalition, Vice President of Advocacy, Murad Awadeh, who has been holding down the front line. He is a Palestinian Muslim from Brooklyn, just like our sister Linda. Give it up.
Let's give it up for Carlene and Charles, people. I know it's cold, and we can do so much better than that. Let's give it up to them. Let's give it up to you for coming out tonight in the frigid cold to demand for justice for our Muslim brothers and sisters, for our dreamers, and to fight against this tax scam that we're all facing. The New York Immigration Coalition, Empower Change, Strong Economy for All are here today with you all because we're here to rally against the Supreme Court's decision to lift the stay on the injunctions that the 4th and 9th Circuits put in place against the Muslim ban, as well as the scam GOP tax bill, and to urge Congress to actually pass a bill that will give our dreamers the right that they deserve. When DACA was introduced, they said, we won't do anything to you. This is deferred action. And now Donald Trump has rescinded DACA, and their lives are on the line. Already, 11,000 dreamers have lost their DACA status. And every single day that passes by, 122 more people do as well. Is that right? Donald Trump has proudly pursued an anti-immigrant agenda to the detriment of all Americans, while targeting Muslims and working people. The Muslim ban, the repealing of DACA, the tax scam will not make America greater or safer. Nearly a year after Trump's inauguration, the resistance is stronger than ever, and we will not allow Trump to turn his bigotry into policy. So, without further ado, I want to introduce someone you guys might know. But before I do that, I want to thank our partners who are proud co-sponsors of tonight. Let's give it up for the Action Group Network, the Arab American Association of New York, the Asian American Federation, the Bangla Brigade of New York City, CARE New York, the Greater New York Labor Religion Coalition, the Interfaith Network for Immigration Reform, the Interfaith Center of New York, the Iranian Alliance Across Borders, Move On, National Action Network, the New Immigrant Community Empowerment, the New York State Immigrant Action Fund, Planned Parenthood New York City, Sadhana, Unite Here Local 100, the Workmen's Circle, and 32BJ. And the next person coming up to the stage, you might have seen her. She helped organize this thing called the Women's March. She was a national co-chair of the Women's March, the former executive director of the Arab American Association, the CEO and president of Empower Change, and one of our strong partners fighting for Muslim communities. Join me in welcoming Linda Sarsour.
What up, New York City? Y'all are gonna just have to excuse me this evening. Y'all ready? Y'all ready? I don't think you're ready for this. So, first of all, I want to say thank you for being here this evening. If you want to know how I'm feeling, I am absolutely outraged. Like, my body is full of rage. I have so much rage in my body. I hope that you are all just as outraged as I am. I am ashamed as an American. On Tuesday, I was in Washington, D.C., protesting with folks against this GOP tax scam. It's not a bill, it's a scam. Sisters and brothers, they were arresting people with disabilities, people with terminally ill diseases. There was a woman who stood up and said, I am here because I want to live. We should be ashamed in this country that there could be people that will die on our watch just because they don't have access to health care. We have an administration that is putting forth and implementing a white supremacist agenda on our watch. We have thousands of Haitians who live right here in New York City and have called this city home. It is because of them that New York City is a whole and inclusive city, and our government is telling them they don't belong here anymore. Be outraged, my dear sisters and brothers. This week, the Supreme Court and people, I don't care what religion you are, y'all gotta pray for Ruth. Ruth gotta be alive for a really long time. That basically has banned people from 6 Muslim majority countries. And it takes me back to the history and the very dark history of these United States of America, when in 1939, we actually stopped a boat of 900 Jewish refugees and banned them from entering in this country and sent them back. And some of those people were sent back to their deaths. Sisters and brothers, a country like Yemen, which is being bombarded right now in a Saudi-led, US-supported war, where people are being crippled by a war and looking for safety and security and to be reunited with their families, and we are saying to them, hell no. Outrageous, sisters and brothers. We need you to stay consistent, and we are not enough. We need you to talk to your families, your neighbors, your colleagues, and we have to stand up. We cannot be the generation that takes our country back 50 years. We are the generation that is going to move our country forward. We need to continue to rise up and be as loud as possible. Sisters and brothers, fear is a a choice. And they are using fear politics to divide us. But guess what? Fear is not on our list. We will not choose fear. We will choose solidarity and unity and resistance to this white supremacist administration. Now, we all know somebody somewhere. We're all connected in this country. We all have social media, we have cell phones. This GOP tax scam cannot pass. You need to continue to pick up those phones and call every member of Congress in this country and say, you shall not vote for this bill, because if you vote for this bill, guess what's going to happen? You're not going to have a job come the end of 2018. So I am here to say to all of you that the resistance is strong, but it cannot continue without your momentum, without your participation. Do not look away from the news. Do not say I'm tired. Do not say I'm exhausted, because our work, people's lives depend on it. Our resistance, people's lives depend on it. So know that there is somebody somewhere who is counting on your voice, who is counting on your participation. This has been a terrible week, but we have seen too many terrible weeks. They are trying to exhaust us. It is a tactic of a fascist administration to distract us from what they are really doing, the political corruption, the ill-informed decisions, the nepotism that is happening within this administration. But guess what? We are not distracted. We know exactly what's going on. And yes, we could be in a rally where we could say no to the GOP tax scam. We could say yes to a DREAM Act now. We can say no to a Muslim ban. We are people that are compassionate, that have open hearts and minds. And guess what? We love all people. And when we say justice for all people. So every couple of weeks, we're going to meet right back over here, because we need to remind one another that we stand together, that we become each other's sanctuary, that we epitomize what hope is. You are hope. I am hope. We are hope. New York City is hope. So you guys still fired up? I gotta hear that one more time, New York City. Are you guys fired up? Are you guys outraged? That's good. The thing that moves me, if anybody wants to know, is I am perpetually outraged every single day when I wake up in the morning. And I will continue to be perpetually outraged until every single human being that lives in our country is treated with dignity and respect, and we have a government who aligns with our value system and our principles of democracy and freedom and liberation and justice for all people. All people. So if you're ever looking for me, I'm on the front lines. I am going to defend my principles, my values, the communities that I love, the city that I love, and the country that I love, because dissent is the highest form of patriotism. And a true patriot who loves their country will not settle for a white supremacist in the White House, for a sexual predator in the White House, for anti-Semites in the White House, or Islamophobes in the White House, xenophobes in the White House. We, as Americans, will not settle, and we will fight until we have an administration that reflects our values and our true principles. So keep up the fight, resistance. Take care of yourself. Do self-care, drink water, whatever you need to do, because we're in this for the long term. And I'm not tired yet. None of us are going to be tired, because people are counting on us. So you guys ready for tonight? So it is my deep honor and privilege to introduce to you a young man who I've watched grow up in the movement. He's one of our leaders here in New York City. He's fierce, he's bold, he knows how to rally, he knows how to organize. Please give it up to Charles K., Director of Advocacy and Organizing at Stronger Economy for All.
Tax the rich. See? All right. So I'm outraged, right? I'm outraged like Linda, and I came up here to talk about the GOP tax plan, right? We've seen it on the news, and what it is it's a thinly veiled attempt that will explode our national deficit by $1.5 trillion, right? But that's not all. That's not all that they want to take from us. It is a plan to take away people's health care. It is a plan to decimate our public schools. And it is a plan that will raise taxes on the poor, on the working class, and on the middle class, all to give tax cuts to the ultra wealthy. And if you're wondering if I'm talking about you, if all of your bank accounts are American, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the 1% of the 1%, the people that are thinking about buying their second yacht. That is who these tax plans are for. It hurts regular people to help billionaires. And if this bill passes, what we will see are grandmas and grandpas getting dragged out of nursing homes because there's no more funding. What we will see is even more homelessness because just in New York City, we will lose $1 billion in funding for affordable housing. What we will see is What we will see are cuts to after-school programs. And again, this is all to hand out tax cuts to the wealthy. And what I will say is that if those in Washington do not listen to us and they pass this bill, I will be more than happy to etch all of these items on the tombstones of their political careers because we will knock every door in their district. And in 2018, they will become irrelevant, right? It'll be time for them to get comfy on their couch because their votes will no longer matter in Congress. We will vote in people that care about our issues. We will vote in people that care about us. And let's be clear, when you couple this tax bill with the Muslim ban, when you couple this tax bill with the fact that we do not have a Clean Dream Act, when you couple this tax bill with all of the things that are going on in our country, it is clear that the Republican Party is engaged in an all-out assault against communities of color. If you are not wealthy and you are not white, the Republicans don't give a damn about you, right? But let me also be clear that we can intervene. We can stop this tax bill from happening. They said that we were gonna lose our health care the first time, and we fought them back. And the second time, and we fought them back. And the third time, we fought them back. And we killed that bill. And we still have time to do the same this time, right? So I was in DC on Monday, and I was in DC on Tuesday with Linda when she took arrests, right? Hundreds of others, right? And I met people, and this is the reason why I'm fighting. I met a gentleman named Adi, and a year ago, he was an organizer just like me, and then he was diagnosed with ALS. And right now, he's fighting for this bill so that he can have care, so that he can live to see his child grow up. That is what this bill is about. It's not all about numbers. It's really about lives, right? And so for all of you, if you're down to fight this tax plan, not only do I want you to scream and chant and march, but I would love for you to go to stopgoptaxscam.com and sign up to do something. Sign up to stay involved so we can kill this bill, right? Yeah? You gonna do it? Don't say you're gonna do it and not do it. All right. And so up next, I want to introduce a dynamic woman, right? The president of the Federation of Protestant Welfare Agencies. Yeah?
I got
you got it? Linda got it. She's better than me. Go ahead.
Because people are too fabulous just to be like so-and-so. You got it, because New York got to know who the leaders are and the people that are progressive, the people who've been on the front lines. And for someone who, and I say this in public all the time, when you're looking for me, I'm following black women. Because black women are the ones that are going to lead us to where we need to go. And one of those very powerful black women in this country who has centered a conversation around poverty, because nobody wants to talk about poverty. And a woman who is intersectional in her organizing, a leader here who has led us in the past years in the progressive movement. She is bold and fierce and speaks truth to power, and a New Yorker. Y'all better give it up real loud for Dr. Jennifer Jones Austin, CEO and president of the Federation for Protestant Welfare Agency.
Good evening. So you all should know that every day I work to live up to all that Linda Sarsour believes that I am. Hello, my friends in the fight for what's right. The fight for what's right. So I head up FPWA, and it's an anti-poverty policy and advocacy organization. And every day, I and those in FPWA work to make sure that all of us, not just some of us, but all of us have the income and the supports that we need to live stably, safely, and securely. Like you, I'm out here tonight in the cold to fight for what's right, right? I'm out here to make sure that all of our voices are heard in the fight for what's right. And what's happening right now is that these days, some of our elected officials down there in DC, they seem to not know what's right, right? Well, all of us gathered here tonight, we know what's right. Fair and just tax reform that does not benefit the rich at the expense of the poor. That's what's right. Tax reform that does not take away health care from nearly 13 million people. That's what's right. And tax reform that does not burden our children and our children's children with unnecessary staggering debt for years to come. That's what's right. Immigration law that ensures dreamers a future here in America. That's what's right. And continuing the challenging, us challenging this Trump president, whatever we want to call him, 45 Trump, he's not my president, but continuing to challenge the travel ban, that's what's right. We're out here tonight to let it be known that we're not backing down, and we will not be pitted one against the other. With the tax bill making its way to the White House, yes, it's making its way there, it may seem that we're losing this fight, but we're not claiming that. With the Supreme Court's upholding of the travel ban, it may seem that we're losing the fight, but we're not claiming that. With the House Majority Leader, Paul Ryan, just today stating that he's going to begin cutting entitlement programs for all of our neighbors who are in need, it may seem that we're losing, but we're not claiming that. Not today, not tomorrow, and certainly not in 2018. Friends in the fight, we've got many battles ahead, but for the sake of our country and the benefit of all who call it home, we're not going to back down. We shall not grow weary. We're going to continue to walk and not faint. We will continue to stand strong. We're going to make those calls. We're going to send those letters. We're going to march. We're going to protest. We're going to demonstrate. And together, we're going to win this fight.
Let's give it up for Dr. Austin. Today is Pearl Harbor Remembrance Day. And it's sad when we think back to it, how history is repeating itself. We're looking at a time where we interned Americans in camps and turned people away. And yet again, we're doing it again. It's as if history doesn't mean anything anymore. I'd like to introduce someone who has been organizing on the front lines for Dreamers and has been at the forefront of the fight to make sure that the DREAM Act happens before the holidays. Join me in welcoming Mirella, an organizer with the CUNY Dreamers.
Hello everyone, thank you for being here. I'm here today speaking in behalf of CUNY Dreamers and the 6,546 undocumented students at CUNY. Yay, CUNY! I am your neighbor, your fellow New Yorker, and I was going to be your lawyer in the near future. But I'm documented, and in Trump's America, I do not have a future. This is our story. I came to the United States when I was 8 years old, and I'm one of the 800,000 DACA recipients whose fate is still unknown. With DACA, in less than 2 weeks, I will be the first one in my family with a college degree. Being able to speak up and get involved with the immigrant movement without fear of deportation. Again, this is our story, and it is on you, on us, to ensure that people like me have a fair chance to live with dignity and respect. If you are in New York, you should know that you can help. I'm going to say this again loud and clear. You can help. Donate MetroCards so students can continue to go to school and work. Build networks of support for our community. Tell us if we can knock on your door if ICE shows up in our homes. Lastly, if you care, I hope to see you on Saturday, December 9 at the largest gathering of undocumented students in New York City, our 4th annual conference. We are not giving up thanks to your support. We are not giving up.
Let's give it up for Mirella. Next up, we have New York City Council member who Linda is going to introduce.
So you gotta like fire up the person before they get up here, you know, you gotta. But before I do that, I want to say something to Mirella. Where's Mirella? Where'd Mirella go? And I want you all to join me so she could hear you real loud that Mirella and my friend Monica, who's also here, that we got their back. And we got the back of our dreamers. And based on the work that they have done and dreamers have done across this country, and hopefully you will help us over the next 10 days, I am pretty confident that we're about to win something. And I'm hoping that before the holidays, we can give a gift to our dreamers by passing a clean DREAM Act. So I'm asking all of you to call your members of Congress and say, I know you want to go home for the holidays, and if you really do want to do that, make sure that our DREAM Act is in that budget bill or nobody's going home for the holidays. You all down? And I also want dreamers who are here to know that the resistance that we are in right now didn't start on November 9th. That you have helped build a resistance for years in this country. You have inspired us to be bold and fierce as people who have had the most stake, the people who are at the most risk have been the boldest in this resistance. We love you, you inspire us, you encourage us, and we promise you that we got your back. So next up, because the Brooklyn people, you know, we always bring it's the Brooklyn. Look, I always say to people, as somebody who really is not loyal to any particular political party, because the fact of the matter is that people don't always do the right thing. And we have to hold everybody accountable. Democrats got to get phone calls from us. The Republicans got to get phone calls from us. Do not let anybody off the hook. Don't let anybody tell you these people over here are good, leave them alone. No, they need to hear from you too, because when they don't hear from you, they're not going to do the right thing eventually. So keep everybody accountable. And there's not a lot of good politicians out in this country. That's just a problem overall. But we're gonna change that in 2018. Y'all down? I don't know if I believe you. Y'all down in 2018? All right. But we do have some. And it's more about quantity, right? It's not about quantity, it's about quality. And in the New York City Council, I'm proud to say that we have progressive leaders who have been on the side of immigrants and Muslims and have stood up for economic justice and affordable housing and all the things that we care about. And one of them is our New York City Council member who leads the Progressive Caucus, is a proud Jewish American who stands for all of us. He's bold and consistent. He's an organizer at heart. So I want you to show some love to New York City Council member Brad Lander from Brooklyn.
Hey people, we're immigrants. My people, we're refugees. My people need health care. My people need a safety net. My people have dreams. My people want to go to college. So my people say, no Muslim ban. No tax scam. A Clean Dream Act. You can do that louder. No Muslim ban. No tax scam. A Clean Dream Act. Look, these things are not much to ask for. The right to live in your country, a country that welcomes people when they're in times of harm, a basic safety net, a country that cares for all its people and not just a couple rich folks. It is not much to ask for, unfortunately. Those simple things are only coming if we keep fighting and if we get even louder. I know you're tired. It has been a year of being out here day after day after day, making call after call after call. So I want to say a couple of quick thank yous. If you were down in DC yesterday for that DACA action, raise your hands and let's hear it for you. Boy, if you were with that group of people, with Linda, who got arrested on Monday with my dear friend Adi and those other folks in wheelchairs and down in DC, if you were out there for that action, raise your hands and let's hear it for you. I see some folks who were out last night after that great JFREG event marching through the streets to make clear to some other folks that we gotta have a Clean Dream Act. If you were out there, raise your hands. And let's say thank you to them. Let's say it one more time, and you can't just shout it, you gotta make your calls, because it's only gonna happen if we keep shouting and keep pushing. So one more time, no Muslim ban, no tax scam, a Clean Dream Act. Not too much to ask for the holidays. Let's keep fighting and bring it home. Thank you all for being out here.
Before I bring up the next speaker, just because this is important, can I remind you about really horrible things that have happened in the last 11 months? I know you're like, really, Linda? No, but I want to say it out loud so everybody can join in how horrible these things are. So in the last 11 months, we rescinded DACA, Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, which puts 800,000 undocumented young people at risk of deportation and by extension their families. In fact, DACA recipients were actually safer when they did not have DACA because at least the government did not have their information. We also have had 3 attempts at the stripping of our health care. Constant attacks on reproductive rights, and women's bodies, the legalization of discrimination against LGBTQ people by a man who was too racist to be a judge, but apparently qualified enough to be the top cop of the nation. We've had Muslim ban 1, 2, 3, 4, and now we are at a full-blown Muslim ban, which bans Muslims from 6 Muslim-majority countries from entering these United States of America. We also, in the past 11 months, dropped what they call the mother of all bombs on Afghanistan. We also killed 200 Iraqi civilians in the deadliest airstrike since the beginning of the war in Iraq in 2003. We have a president who unapologetically retweets anti-Muslim fascist organizations in Europe. We have a president who, meanwhile, we are asking other elected officials to resign from their political positions for sexual assault and sexual harassment. And the hypocrisy of our nation still allows for the man holding the highest office, who himself is a sexual predator and has been accused by over a dozen women, to keep his office. Shame, 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 shame. We have a tax bill that potentially could be passed within a few days in the United States of America that takes funds away from the poor people and gives it to the top 1% billionaires. Another attempt at stripping us of our health care through a scam tax bill. So I don't know what else has to happen, sisters and brothers, under our watch, but that's a pretty long list of really terrible things. So make sure that you stay outraged. So let's give it up and show some love for the work of the New York Immigration Coalition and the work of Claudia, the Director of Health Policy.
Thank you for being here, New York. Let's put those signs up. This is an amazing crowd here out on this cold night. We need you here tonight out in the street, and we need you to march with us downtown. And we also need you to make phone calls. Because the far right is trying to remake our society, our American United States society, into one that we do not want. Are we going to let them do that? No! The GOP tax scam does so many bad things to immigrant families and communities. I don't even know where to start. It's going to make it harder for the teachers that teach immigrant children to afford to buy supplies for their classrooms. Is that okay? It is going to gut resources for public schools that immigrant children attend by giving a tax break to parents that send their kids to private schools. Is that right? It is going to make it harder for students, college students and college graduates from low-income families and from middle-class families to go to graduate school and become scholars and become part of the institutions that do research on our society. Is that right? No. It's going to do that by taxing their tuition benefits that students depend on. And it undermines, I am the Director of Health Policy, so I do have to get to this part. It undermines the Affordable Care Act, that has covered more than 300,000 immigrants in New York State alone. Is that right? And the worst part is, this is the worst part, and this is what we have to remember when we go home tonight. It lays the groundwork for the far right to dismantle Medicare, Social Security, and Medicaid. And Medicaid is the program that funds the safety net hospitals like Health and Hospitals Bellevue, just down the street, that takes care of many immigrant families. Is that right? Paul Ryan, like others have said on this stage, has already said, before the bill is even passed, that the next step, there's not enough money to continue those programs, those institutions that have sustained our communities and families for decades. The travel ban, the failure to pass DREAM, and their plans to defund these programs and services on which we depend and that make our families strong are all part of the far right's plan to remake our society into one that is hostile to poor people, to immigrants, to people of color, to Muslims, to women, to anyone that is different from them. Are we going to let them remake our society? No. Are we going to let them attack our communities? No. So here is what I need you to do. As many people on this stage tonight have said, and this is a very, very impressive group of advocates to be on a stage with tonight. We need you out in the streets tonight, next week, next month, next year, and definitely in 2018. And we need you to make phone calls, and we need you to do that right now. The GOP tax scam was written in record time, and it is full of problems. There is an opportunity to keep it from passing, because there are a lot of challenges that are coming up because they did a crappy job putting it together in a few days. All of us need to call our two powerful senators from New York State, even though they support us, that we need to be calling Chuck Schumer and Kirsten Gillibrand and reminding them to do everything they can to keep this bill from passing. And we have 9 Republican congressmen in the House of Representatives here in New York State. It is our responsibility to approach them and make sure they know that they have to vote no and to stop the GOP tax scam. If you are on Long Island, call Peter King and call Lee Zeldin and tell them to vote no. They voted no before the first time. Tell them to make sure they keep that vote a no. Is Staten Island in the house? If you are on Staten Island, and if you know people on Staten Island, get them to call Dan Donovan and tell him to vote no. He voted no on the first bill. Tell him to keep that vote a no on the second. Bay Ridge, okay. All right, so it's up to you guys. Great. Ask your friends and family in other parts of the state, in upstate and western New York, to call John Faso, John Katko, Chris Collins, Elise Stefanik, Claudia Tenney, and Tom Reed. They all voted yes on the first vote. Tell them to change that vote. Tell them we are watching what they are doing. Remind them that they work for us. We stopped the Republican efforts last summer to overturn health care, and we can stop it again. And we won't let them undo the programs that sustain our communities. We won't let them remake our society. Thank you for being here tonight, New York. Let's end with a chant. When equality is under attack, what do? Stand up, fight back. Thank you.
Let's give it up to Claudia. There will always be people who try to distract us, but let us not be led astray. We're here to fight against the Muslim ban, the tax scam, and fight for a DREAM Act. That is why we're here tonight, to stand up for justice for all of us. So, feel free to lift up your signs and have them as high as possible. And join me in welcoming Persephone Tan, the Assistant Director at the Asian American Federation, representing over 15% of New York State residents, the largest Asian American Federation in New York. Give her a warm round of applause.
Hello, New York! Are you ready to fight? I can't hear you. So I'm the Associate Director of Immigration and Policy at Asian American Federation. Asian American Federation is an umbrella nonprofit that serves, that has 60 member organizations and partners that raise awareness about the Pan-Asian community in New York. I want to tell a very short story so we can start marching, right? So, in February 1965, a man was shot in New York. You may have heard of him. His name is Malcolm X, but that's not who I want to talk about. I want to talk about Yuri Kochiyama. She is a Japanese American civil rights activist. If you don't know who she is, you better Google her later. Yuri Kochiyama is a Japanese American. She was sent to an internment camp when she was younger, shortly after Pearl Harbor bombing. Her family was sent there, and she lived there for a number of years. She became very active in the African American community during the civil rights movement. Why am I bringing up Yuri Kochiyama? Because I think a lot of people forget that Asian Americans are always in the forefront. We always join multiple communities. These protests and rallies, we do never do them alone. We cannot let things like Japanese internment happen again. We cannot have the Chinese Exclusion Act happen again. That was one of the first significant U.S. laws that banned a specific ethnic group from this country. And I'm Chinese American, so this is very personal. If that wasn't repealed, I would not be here. My family would not be here. So you standing out here today in the freezing cold, holding the signs up, some of you have gloves, some of you don't. I applaud you and thank you for coming. So when we leave here, we need to remember that we're fighting for no Muslim ban. This is just another manifestation of the Exclusion Act, okay? We need to stand up and show up to these fights. This is not the last rally and not the last protest where we will be and participate. So we need you guys to show up. We need your friends to show up. So remember to share all the information that all your friends and family may not have heard of, may not be here tonight, but you need to tell them that they need to show up. That's the first thing they need to do. We need to tell Congress and the Senate that they cannot pass this tax reform. It will harm low-income and middle-aged people. And so I want to just leave with no hate, no fear. Immigrants are welcome here. No hate, no fear. Immigrants are welcome here. No hate, no fear. Immigrants are welcome here. Thank you.
Let's give it up to Persephone, people. Just to give you guys a rundown, we have 2 more speakers and then we're gonna start marching. And when we march, we want you guys to get warmed up, all right? So we want to hear you as loud as possible when we're marching. And we'll give you guys directions on the march in a few minutes. Next up is Rama Issa, the Executive Director of the Arab American Association of New York, the largest Arab-serving organization in New York City, serving over 20,000 people a year. Join me in welcoming Rama to the stage.
Hello, everyone. Assalamu alaikum. So my name is Rama Issa, and I'm the Executive Director of the Arab American Association of New York. Thank you. We are a social service and advocacy organization that serves the Arab American and Arab American communities, the Arab American and Arab immigrant communities here in New York City. I am a proud Syrian immigrant. I'm here today because our communities are under attack by this administration day in and day out. As a community, we are appalled and outraged by the Supreme Court's decision to allow this ban to go into effect, especially after what we saw, Trump's tweets, spreading anti-Muslim hate on Twitter. I honestly cannot even begin to process these feelings of anger and frustration right now, because this is all happening while Yemen's humanitarian crisis has reached new lows, while civilians are still getting killed in the streets in Syria, while black people are being sold into slavery in Libya, while we learn that U.S. Special Forces have massacred civilians in Somalia. Honestly, how can we close our borders right now to those who are most vulnerable in the world? This is not what America stands for. This is not what we stand for. Let us not forget that this administration is trying to implement xenophobic, racist, and Islamophobic policies just to fulfill an anti-immigrant agenda. Yeah, boo. Because this is what white nationalism and white supremacy looks like at an institutional level. Breaking our families apart, spreading hate speech to create a narrative of us versus them, telling us that we just don't belong here. But no more. We're not going to stand for it. We're here to stay. We're here to fight back. We're not going to let this administration scare us or intimidate us. Yeah, because when Muslims are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
When immigrants are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
When refugees are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
What do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
What do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
Thank you so much. You're all amazing.
Let's give it up to Rama Isa from my home organization, the Arab American Association of New York. So y'all still fired up? Y'all still outraged? Y'all still outraged? All right, good. And I hope you stay outraged, because this next brother that I'm bringing up to the stage, he's always outraged. He lights up the mic and speaks truth to power no matter the consequences. This brother has stood on the front lines fighting for police accountability, for respect and dignity of black people in New York City and across this country. He is a conscious black man who is always enraged, like our brother James Baldwin said. And he's ready to come share some of this rage with you so you can stay outraged with Pastor Kirsten Foy, the Northeast Regional Director of the National Action Network.
No justice! No justice! No justice! No justice! No justice! No justice! What do we want? 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 When do we want it? 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 We have gathered here tonight to talk about the evils and the wickedness emanating from Washington and spreading across our nation like a vicious cancer. Hatred, bigotry, ignorance seem to be the order of the day. We have a budget that's going to turn the wealthiest nation in the history of the world into a third world nation with only the super rich and the very poor. We have a Muslim ban that goes against the very fabric and grain of what our nation is about. But I didn't come here to talk about the wickedness that is set before us. I came here to remind us about who we are. I came here to remind those who are wicked in high power about who we are. We are not those that cower in fear. We are not those that shrink from responsibility. We are not those that turn tail and run in the face of opposition. We are the children of those that confronted slavery and slaughtered it. We are the children of those that confronted Jim Crow and slaughtered him too. We are the children of those who rose up across the world and rejected European colonialism. We are the children of Toussaint Louverture. We are the children of Harriet Tubman, who had in one hand a Bible and another hand a gun and led hundreds and thousands of us to freedom. We are their children. We are the children of Abraham, Isaac, Ishmael, and Jacob. We are the children of a God that has slain every giant that man had produced. Every giant that sought to destroy a free spirit. Every giant that sought to destroy the hopes of our children. The opportunities of our people to coexist in peace and freedom and liberty and opportunity. We now confront the biggest giant of our generation. But I'm here to remind you that we've slain bigger giants than Donald Trump. I'm here to remind you we've slain bigger wicked kings than Donald Trump. I'm here to remind you that there is no wicked budget. There is no Muslim ban. There is nothing that he can script by pen that can destroy the spirit of a free people. I'm here to remind them we are a free people. And we are here to remind you that when all is said and done, 100 years from now, when our children ask, who were they and what did they do? Others will be able to stand up and say, they are the children of Harriet. They are the children of Martin. They are the children of Malcolm. They are the children that rose up and slain the giant of American fascism and put him in his grave forever. That's who we are. Now, let's take that outrage. Let's take that energy. Let's take that free spirit of a free people and let's march to Federal Plaza and let's show them and remind them what the children of Martin, what the children of Malcolm, what the children of Harriet are capable of doing to protect our freedom. No justice! No justice! No justice! No justice!
Give it up for Minister Kirsten Foyer!